like to put it.
Okay.
So are you a refugee now? Is that your
No,
formal status?
I'm not a refugee.
You seem ready for that question.
I'm not a refugee. I mean, why do you think that anybody who comes here from a different country is a refugee?
Well, you seem to, at least in the movie, you seem to not feel comfortable going back home.
Well,
So,
I mean, you could be a refugee in your own country, right?
that's true.
You could be an exile in your own country.
That's
And I
true.
think being an exile and a refugee is a state of mind.
Ah. So how would you...
Like exactly when Ben Carson says you like being poor is a state of mind, right?
But not so real when Ben Carson says it.
Yeah.
Well, how do you see yourself? Do you just see yourself as out of town for a little while until...
Does this bother you?
It will bother... It doesn't have to... Does it bother you?
No, because
It's
of the
okay.
sound. All right.
It'll be fine. We can hear you.
Well, I mean, I see myself as someone who's embarking on a new chapter of his life, reinventing yourself. I've already reinvented myself 3 times already. From a doctor to be a YouTube guy, from a YouTube guy to a small TV show guy to a big TV show guy, and then it's interesting. It's terrifying because at the age of 43, when you keep reinventing yourself, it's like all right, when is that gonna end? But it's fun. It's exciting. The potentials are endless, and the failures are also endless.
Mm-hmm. When you were inventing yourself for the first time as a doctor, was that what your parents wanted you to be, or did you always want to be a talk show host or a comedian? Or
in the Middle East, you do what your parents want you to do. So I become a doctor because you make them happy, and you play the game because you accept that as your fate. And then when something new comes along, you say, well, maybe that's not my fate anymore.
Were you a funny 10-year-old?
No, I'm a regular 10 years old. I'm a regular loud 10 years old.
And was entertaining people something in your head, or was it
Yeah, but it's like not more than the normal guy would entertain his guests or his friends, right?
Uh-huh.
You don't have to be... the thing is, I'm totally against this narrative of like, oh, you're a comedian, you're a TV host, you must be like the class clown.
Right.
You don't have to.
No.
You don't have to. I mean, it's just like, you don't have to be the class clown to be an entertainer or a comedy guy. I mean, at the end of the day, to host a show or to work, it really depends on like if you're sincere towards the process. It's the process at the end of the day, because you could be extremely talented, extremely funny, but you don't have the process and you fail, right?
Right. So did you figure out the process?
I don't know if I figured it out, but I think it seems to work.
Well, but I mean, did you, in the process of doing the YouTube videos, which kind of started you down this road, did you figure out a process that worked for you, and that's...
It was trial and error. Mm-hmm. It was trial and error. I tried stuff, and then it worked, and then it didn't work anymore. Then you try something else. You watch a lot. It's someone who reads a lot to be a writer, someone who watches a lot of performance to be a performer. So I watch a lot of American TV, American political satire show to see what works and try to reverse engineer it. And this is maybe how we did it.
So besides The Daily Show, was there anything else on your diet?
Colbert.
Colbert. So
these are the 2.
That's what did it for you?
Yeah, because this is what we were doing every time in our show.
Mm. So you kind of, what was the moment? I mean, most of the surgeons I know think they're very funny or charming or whatever. You actually are. What was the moment where you said, okay, I'm a heart surgeon who's now going to invest effort and time and energy?
This moment never came. It creeped up on me. I just did one show at a time until we became the biggest show in town. It's like, maybe it is this way then.
So how did the first show happen?
The first show?
Yeah.
I mean, on television or on YouTube?
On YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube, I did a show expecting maybe 10,000 people would come. I was killing time because I was already expected to come to the United States on a fellowship. Mm-hmm. So I said, all right, maybe I'll do that, because I just wanted to vent my opinion about what's happening in the media. And I never thought it will go anywhere. And then millions of viewers and millions of views later, I decided, and I had TV offers to come and do it. It's like, is this happening now? TV? And even when I was doing TV first season, I was still a doctor. I didn't leave it behind. So I didn't burn my bridges because I thought, oh, that will be a 1-year thing and I'm going to go back.
So when you did the first YouTube video, did you just turn on the camera and start talking? I mean, what was
No, I wrote a script and I chose the videos. And
So you cut in video in your first, from the very beginning?
Yeah, with I had professional help, of course, like an editor. I just tried to figure out the process as I was doing it.
But you had to be pretty committed at that point to do that much, even for a YouTube video, to go and get an editor and do whatever. You had to have a pretty...
Well, I had a partner who was interested in doing this into a YouTube video, because at that time, YouTube video industry was not very developed in Egypt. There was no original Arabic content on YouTube, and we were the first ones. So he was, I was committed towards the creative part, and he was committed to the logistic part.
And he was already into that kind of thing. I mean, that was something he already knew.
He was more of a manager of like he wanted to do a kind of like a jumpstart the YouTube industry in the Middle East, and this is how it started.
So how did the two of you meet?
Oh, we're friends.
Just happened to be friends.
Yeah, exactly.
It all came together. So fate has been a big part of your life, it sounds like.
Yeah, of course. Fate.
So did you ever expect any of this to...
No.
Ever? Even in the middle of it, you were kind of like, okay, we can go to this, or...
No, I never expected any of this. Anybody who tells you, oh, we saw this all coming is lying to you. Because the magnitude of all of that was just absolutely disproportionate for anything or anybody who would ever think will happen.
And was fear a big part of it for you?
There was always fear of failure.
Just a failure, though.
Yeah, but fear
the political part of it only came later.
But even when the political part came, it was always fear of failure. I was more afraid that I would do a bad show than I would be hurt.
So are you hypercritical? Do you...
Oh, very.
Do you look at the shows you did and go, oh, that wasn't so good, or...
Till now, I hate seeing myself on TV.
Huh.
Yeah, I hate listening to my voice. I mean, most probably this TV bid you do with me, I'm not going to watch it. I hate watching myself.
Well, that makes sense, kind of. Some people, I mean, it's interesting. There's some actors and there's some performers who love watching themselves, and others who really don't care for it very much.
I have very low opinion of myself.
Does the quality, though you have a staff of writers, you had a whole team by the time you were doing the TV show.
Yes.
How do you feel? I mean, do you watch the show for them and figure out, okay, that bit worked, or do you just know what's not happening on the set? Or...
Yeah, I mean, whenever I would always watch to find where was the weakest parts, just to improve it. Not to see how good I was. Actually, I watch stuff to see how bad I was.
So you're already nailing yourself, but you might like the writing, even though you were terrible delivering it? Is that their...
Well, I have to say, some of the episodes I'm really proud of, and it was a difficult time to say the truth, sometimes. And it was difficult. So I liked the message, but I always thought that I would do a much better job. Better writing, better performing. Which
are you still wanting to do as you're reinventing yourself yet again?
Yeah, of course. But now it's a different. The context is different. I'm now doing it to a different audience, to a different language, with different everything. I am after being a big shot back home. I'm here. I'm just another guy who's trying to make it in Hollywood, which is pretty much humbling.
And do you have an investment in American politics, or I mean, if you went to go do it, would it be the same kind of work, really?
Well, it's hopefully it's going to be more with a global outlook, because I think American politics affects everything else in the world, and the world affects American politics, and we're part of it. And I think maybe we should do stuff that pertains to more of a much more global point of view.
And you haven't found takers for that yet, I assume.
Well, you live in Hollywood, you pitch ideas, you do meetings and stuff, and you wait for the moment for it to click.
Does it need to be something you have in mind? Or, I mean, like, I'm surprised that Vice hasn't picked up on you, or Colbert, or whoever had, started having you on as a regular guest, or even The Daily Show. It's kind of shocking to me.
No,
you're not out there already.
I think things happen in their own time. And I think, hopefully that when I do something, it will be mine, and it will be... It will be in the right time.
Are you writing material as you watch the news every day?
I'm writing ideas.
But I mean, do you watch the news and
Yeah.
have jokes that you have
But,
wish you had some place to tell?
Not really. I mean, I don't want to like lock myself into that, because the show that I can come back with could be totally different. Maybe it's not something that follows the daily news. Maybe something that more of like follows concepts more than just like daily events.
Did you ever have a chance to get bored with what you were doing, or tired of repeating the same formula?
No,
It was a pretty short window that
that's 3 years.
your rise.
Yeah, 3 years.
Well, I think John was on Daily Show for what?
14.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a long time.
Mine was 3. We didn't have time to get bored.
It's kind of interesting that you're showing up today in that we're also in the middle of the Kathy Griffin news.
Yeah.
Which is that seemed like to you too much?
I think it was too, I mean, she already apologized. She said,
Yeah.
like, it's like, it's too much. I crossed the line. I'm sorry. It's just like, if you think about it, if somebody did it to Obama, people would be like going crazy, right? I mean, having like a beheaded head of Trump is no different than having a lynched Obama, right?
Not for me actually.
Yeah.
I'm much more comfortable with a beheaded Trump than I am with a lynched Obama.
I don't know. Actually, I think I don't know. It's just you could be sarcastic without being angry. I don't know. I think it's anger and being too gory is pretty much primitive emotions, and I think sarcasm kind of elevates your emotions up there.
So did you face that line at work in those 3 years? I mean, were there ideas that were kind of came up that you
Oh yeah,
weren't within your range or
yeah.
what you wanted?
Because, for example, we drew a line about like not insulting someone personally, not getting their family into it, not going. It's just, and as for example, under Morsi, like the Muslim Brotherhood, there would be other shows who would go insulting the president big time. We never insulted him, although the Muslim Brotherhood hate me more because we were more effective. But we didn't really insult him,
Right.
and we wouldn't like. And under Sisi, we were trying to make jokes in an atmosphere where everybody is bowing down. We were the only, and that we got canceled twice, and we got our satellite jammed twice. The satellite signal jammed twice, and so we were always kind of like against the tide. And our jokes were and at the end of the day, we're very conservative. And even when we were very careful, we were still being too much to that conservative society.
Well, I mean, for America, that was really for us the '70s, early '70s, when Vietnam was going on, and the Smothers Brothers were the censored, ultimately shut down voice of a generation. I mean, Laugh-In stayed broader and easier, but the Smothers Brothers got shut down, and ultimately Richard Pryor had his own show. It got shut down. There does seem to be a line that somehow the corporate universe is not really comfortable.
Well, Bill Maher got shut down in 2003 when he criticized bombing Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And he said it's not an act of bravery bombing people living in caves. And he got shut down. Rosie O'Donnell got shut down when she spoke about 9/11. And I know these are sensitive issues, but if it's free speech, everybody is allowed to speak, right?
Well, that's how I kind of feel about the Kathy Griffin thing.
No. The thing is, like, she should be allowed to do what she wants.
All right.
But here's the thing about free speech. You're allowed to do what you want, but don't come crying if people criticize you for what you're doing, right? Right? I mean, I think it's too much. Other people think it's not.
Right.
It's free speech. At the end of the day, she will have to face the music, right?
Well, she already lost her job at CNN they just unbooked her for New Year's Eve and all that stuff.
Oh, well,
So
backlash. Backlash.
Yeah.
You can go up and do whatever you want, but you have to be man enough to face the consequences, right? That's free speech. Even Milo, although I totally disagree with everything that he did, he faced he faced the consequences of what he said. Nobody shut it. But yeah, but you always find. I mean, I don't know. It's just this is not the side effect, but maybe this is the byproduct of democracy. You will have to listen to everybody.
Is this something you thought a lot about before you did your show, or did the show get you thinking about it?
No, the show got me thinking about it. I think I learned on my personal journey. I learned a lot.
And is I assume it's continuing to evolve or evolve through the whole process?
I think we as humans, we are continuing to evolve what we think about what democracy, what is the meaning of free speech, what it is free speech, how much is allowed, and how far can we go? I think this is a personal journey for all of us. If it's set in stones, nobody will go and try to explore it, right?
Well, that's kind of the thing of religion, I guess, or how people see things. It's like when there's hard and fast rules, it gets a little bit dicey.
Yeah.
And people, I guess even in every religion, there's flexibility within that structure. There's always
I don't even
orthodoxy and non-orthodoxy.
But I don't think it's even like up to religion, because the religion is set in stone. It's how the community evolves or deal with that kind of religion. So, for example, the Bible didn't change 500 years ago, right? But it is how society dealt with that document, that scripture that evolved. 1500 Europe is totally different than 2017 Europe, although it is the same Bible. Same thing with Islam. That's why I reject the idea of like an ex-religion is violent or an ex-religion is... I think all religions have their seeds to be either violent or non-violent. It's how a society interprets a certain scripture deals with it. So the problem maybe is not like with the Bible or the Quran, is like how a society chooses to deal with this kind of document. Because it's the same exact Islamic... So if you look at the Islamic societies in the 50s and 60s, for these old pictures, these were Muslims too, right? But they had a certain interpretation.
Right.
But then you had a much more extreme interpretation, and they would get it, and they would push a certain narrative or certain parts that would make it more kind of violent or non-inclusive, and that would be the mainstream. So it is how you deal with it.
I kind of feel like that's similar to what's happening in the United States in general. The political side of things, with Trump being elected, is that there's a sense of it being the last gasp of a certain kind of sense of what America should be, and those people who believe in that are willing to fight to the death for it.
Yeah.
In a way that is shocking to liberals, who are used to it being kind of comfortable for the last 50 years.
Maybe saying a lot of people saying that Trump is the angry white man last stand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do we seem, as you've been living here for a while now, you're living in Massachusetts, is that right? Or?
No, I live here.
Oh, you live in Los Angeles?
I live in Los Angeles.
Do you like Los Angeles?
I love it. Can't beat the weather.
That's true.
You can't beat the weather, right?
Today's the one crappy day in the last 20 months.
No, but this is
and even this isn't so bad.
It's still pleasant,
Yeah. It's a nice city that way.
Yeah.
So you've been out here for a year or two? Or?
I've been in California for a year and a half. I've been in Los Angeles for 6 months.
So do we seem like we're whiners in terms of the political scene? I mean, you guys...
So for human purposes, yes. Oh my God, you're whining. You don't know what the dictatorship is, right? So for human purposes, yes. It's like, oh, you don't understand the first thing about dictators. But in reality, it is a sign of a society that is used for a certain kind of democracy, and we will not give it up. So they will whine and stamp if the service is as declined. So it's like, for example, someone in a restaurant who's complaining that like my food is cold, and then somebody, oh, you should be thankful because you're not in Africa, but the reality is you're not in Africa,
right?
You have actually worked and you worked hard to get this kind of service. And this is the same thing with democracy. You have worked hard, and this is like as much of a very young nation America is, but they have worked a lot to for a certain kind of freedom of expression, freedom of speech, a way of governance. And now when you see someone who is, in their many opinion, that is not loyal to this or going against this, people will whine. And I think you would do that to keep the level of service high, because if you don't whine, then you will become like many of the other nations who are telling you not to whine.
Yeah.
Or
you're busy whining and you're not paying attention to the really Big stuff.
Yeah, yeah, but like I think it's just like I hope that like after the whining comes the action. Like people coming to voting polls, people changing stuff in the midterms, not just whining.
Was there ever, I mean, when Mubarak was in, was there a time where, for somebody like yourself, who was a surgeon and who had, I'm sure, had a relatively comfortable life in terms of economics in your life, was there a sense of it being a calm place 10 years before it became revolutionary?
Well, it was calm, but it was a sense of stability. Well, the word stability is a very dangerous word that's used by dictatorships. Stability means that you don't speak, and and it's like yes, you have food and you have like what you need to live, and you shut up. But like as you shut up, there there's decay in the society, and when people there's a lot of people who blame the revolution for oh my God, you got all of this dirt coming out of us. It's just like being under the rug. Stability is just like pushing that dirt under the carpet, but it's always been there. So when the revolution comes, you blow out the lid out of that like high pressure steam, and it comes up in your face. And so Mubarak and the military rule that's been in Egypt for 60 years has been the reason why this has been all contained, not dealt with, and just like being pushed under the rug.
Was it fear of it exploding, or was it the sense of everything is okay enough that we don't have to go crazy?
But it was not okay enough. It was just like being pushed away.
Yeah.
But now when the revolution came, now people have to deal with all of these voices that's been trapped. And some of them are bad voices. Some of them are oppressive voices. Some of them are extremist voices. And people didn't want that. A lot of them did. But a lot of people said no. But this is part of democracy. And people are like, no, no, no. You know what? We don't want to deal with this. Let's have stability again. But now stability comes back with a vengeance, and that's kind of more of a militant stability, where it's just like, you know what? There's a new definition of stability now. It's like we are going to do whatever we want, and you're going to shut up, and we're going to continue controlling the country economically, socially, politically. And now it is Mubarak 2.0, which is a very extreme form of military dictatorship.
Because that's what I mean. America, I feel like, is in a similar position, that there's like, you can feel the pressure coming from both sides. The right and the left are angry in this kind of extreme way because there are a big part of our culture is being crushed financially, but not the way that people are being crushed, I think, in a lot of other countries like Egypt. I mean, we give everybody eats enough. Not everybody. Nobody eats. A lot of people don't eat enough in this country, but there's enough sustenance. There are enough TV shows. There's enough stuff that somehow we've remained a non-revolutionary country for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
and you wonder what happens if it ever, what could make it explode.
I have a very bad scenarios in my head of how it was going to explode.
So you have some fear for the United States.
When I was doing the Democracy Handbook, and I went around, and I met with the right-wing militias, they seem to be very confident, saying that there is a civil war coming, and this civil war will come if anybody touches our guns. And there is a lot of people who are willing to bear arms and use these arms if they think that their version of America is going to be threatened. And the thing is, they also do this out of the idea of we're protecting free speech. So I think free speech is something common between the right and the left, that everybody has their own version and interpretation of free speech. And at a certain point, that could be dangerous if people would become violent using the arm, because you have a lot of arms everywhere.
It's a real problem. I mean, it's an interesting thing because, I mean, for those of us who believe in gun control in this country, which is actually the majority, ironically, we don't believe in, the majority of America doesn't believe in getting rid of guns completely, I don't think, but they do believe in controlling them more effectively than we have.
Yeah, but like a lot of people saying that controlling them is controlling free speech.
Yeah.
So it becomes like a God-given right. And I don't know. It's just like I'm just worried how this right will be used.
What's interesting is we have so many people who feel so many God-given rights now in the United States that
Yeah.
makes it economically. It makes
But
it very
even on the
hard.
left, it's a
Yeah, on both
God-given right.
sides.
A God-given right to. I mean, you just
The human right to health care, the human right to food, eat.
and but there's also it's just like what on the left maybe it's like the God-given right of like you have to be politically correct, and then they draw the lines of what does it mean to be politically correct, and this actually got a lot of people on the right, pissed off. You know what? F political correctness. Like screw it. We're gonna be not just not politically correct. We're gonna be rude, and we're gonna have this as our God-given right. And this is why you have a lot of comedians not performing in colleges anymore. You have Chris Rock speaking up and saying like, you know what? It's just like it's not fun anymore. Everything is like, too sensitive. And now the right use that. And in the platform, the RNC, every single Republican went out was like, my name is so and so, and I hate political correctness, and people would cheer. So political correctness, which is at once being revered and respected, now becoming a joke, becoming like a fact that like just like fuck you and your political correctness.
Well, we on the left fight amongst ourselves, it seems like, and the right seems to just want to fight against us, all of us as a group. They seem a little more organized in their rage than the left. The left kind of seems to still be busy because there's even people within the. I consider myself a lefty. I have friends who, particularly through issues of ethnicity and feminism and everything else, will say there is no political correctness. It's fabrication meant to bring down the these feelings of pro left wing things. It's like
I don't know.
No, there's clearly political correctness.
I don't know. The left bewilders me as much as the right. I mean, because like the one thing that you respect about the right, which I don't consider myself part of the right, but like they know what they have an ideology, they get back, they get behind it. They don't care if it's they don't care if whoever leader there is right or wrong. They're just behind it, and this is why you will never find the approval rating for Trump dropping below the 40s with 38, because this is the hardcore of the Republican. They would vote for anybody in that chair, but the left, they have to be 100% sure that this represents 100% of everything that I believe in.
Yeah.
And this is why liberals fail in something that is so. I mean, they fail when it becomes to organize establishment elections. Because the right wing, and I've seen that in Egypt, like the right wing, the Islamists will go and vote Islamist no matter what happens. It doesn't matter. And you'll find the liberals pretty much fragmented. And in the same way, the pro-military, just like the right, just like, we have an agenda, that's it. It's black and white. It doesn't matter if I agree for anything, but for everything on that agenda, but like I'm going to be there. But the liberals, it's very easy to fragment their opinion.
So it's the same in Egypt. It's not that different.
It's the same everywhere else, but it's the same everywhere else. Even in Europe, it's the same everywhere else.
So are you hopeful?
I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful because, like, I mean, this is the planet that we live in, and I'm hopeful it will get better. But I think that you will have more and more of the rise of the right wing because the everyday man is just like just sick and tired of too many. Sick and tired of the philosophy. He just needs answers. And the thing is, people on the right, when they offer anger and they offer a lot of anxiety and anger, it's kind of like more cathartic for them. It's like, yeah, I'm going to vote for this guy. It's easier for me. And maybe they need to try it and then
Find
out and then fail and then come back. But at the end of the day, sometimes the left doesn't really offers a lot of solutions.
Yeah. What's fascinating, I mean, we're now down to 8% on the healthcare bill. So that polling says 8% are for the healthcare bill that came out of the House, and yet they're still trying to shove it down everybody's throat.
But it doesn't matter because they own the establishment, right? So let's say, for example, 99% of the people now in America are for impeachment of Trump, right? But they own the establishment, right? They own the House, the presidency, the Senate. So you can bitch and whine about Trump the whole day, but they are doing a great job winning all levels of legislations, not just like on the House and the Senate, but also on state level. What have you done on the other side, other than just like black and white, right? It's just like it's you speak about democracy, but people have already agreed that like a big part of the tool of democracy is like going to election polls and polling stations and winning, but you're not doing that. And when you're giving the chance, you go and I mean, with all due respect, but like let's go vote for a third party. Or like, because I hate Hillary so much because Bernie Sanders didn't win, I'm not going to vote for it. So like, it's just, I don't know. It's just like a matter of like, you want to be loud or you want to win. So, and the thing is, the Republicans are very good at winning right now. They've been very good at winning, even under Obama. How they actually undermined the power of Democrats in the House and the Senate and the governors and the legislations. They've been winning.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not just Trump. I mean, you remove Trump today. The right wing.
Well, many feel it'd be worse.
Yeah, I mean,
Pence.
It just, this is what makes me concerned. It's like how would when you start to mess up with education and healthcare, which is why a lot of people want to come here, right? To have a good living to their children. Whatever. If you start messing up with that, I mean, that would be different, right? Well, and that's something that's separate from Trump,
right?
Because that is actually the narrative of the Republican Party on the right.
So theoretically, if they flip the Congress in 2018 and can hold off long enough, then Trump is denuded, and we're stalemate again. But we're
but I don't know. Like, I mean, the Congress is. I do. I mean, they might flip the Senate, but I don't know if they can flip the Congress.
Well, even if they flip the Senate, it's something. It's a block. It's a stopper, theoretically, because the Congress seems to be a bit fragmented also, even within their own lunacy. So revolution is probably a good idea for us at some point. If we can figure out how to do it.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the thing is, a revolution doesn't have to be people shouting in the street, right? It's going to be, I always say a revolution is a process. It's about changing people's minds. It's about changing. You don't have to go with Molotov cocktails and do it. Especially if you are in a political environment where you can actually do the revolution by flipping the rules of the game to your side without going against the military establishment. So at least you don't have to go through that.
Yeah.
But a revolution is actually getting that revolution, that anger in the street, that women's march into the polls. That in itself is a revolution, right?
Yeah. Can be. Could be.
Yeah.
I guess I always think we have to figure out how to actually solve some of these problems that are not left or right, but are just financial and real for our country. And, do we want to become more of a socialist nation in terms of healthcare or whatever else? I think we do, but nobody wants to admit it. It's become this,
Maybe a revolution by telling people that what Bernie Sanders was standing for was not socialism. And maybe a lot of the democratic countries in Europe are actually doing that, doing universal healthcare, and nobody is accusing them of being socialist. I mean, it's...
Yeah. So he is, I don't know. Part of the Bernie Sanders thing, which was fascinating, was how much rage was involved with Hillary Clinton. It was almost like there was a need to overstate how horrible she was in order to rationalize the position. I don't know. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know how that got so out of hand, though it cost us the election, I would say.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people in Michigan and the other states that was lost at the end, kind of flipped the elections towards Trump. Many of them were either angry at Hillary, not convinced at Clinton, or didn't even imagine that Trump would win, so they stayed at home.
Well, that's 6 million fewer people voted in this election than the previous election.
Yeah, but I mean that's
shocking.
That's the way.
Democrats.
But that's the way how Kerry lost in 2004. Many people didn't go to vote.
Yeah.
They thought that the anger against George W. Bush is enough.
Yeah, which is I've had this argument with Michael Moore over the years that I felt Fahrenheit 9/11 actually helped reelect Bush because it took away some of the rage. It kind of was it felt good to make fun of him that intensely, and that therefore you didn't have to do anything else. Somehow that was enough.
But the thing is, I have to disagree with this because filmmakers, satirists, comedians, people who are outspoken like Michael Moore or like other people, they're doing their job. It's not really their fault that people watch that and just like sit back on their couches like, oh, we did our patriotic act and we watch it, now we don't have to vote. It's not their problem, right?
Right. Well, I think Michael's actually changed his tune a bit. I mean, he's really, I think how he positioned himself this last election has changed, was different than the last time also. I think
like
he kind of
he's
learned the lesson.
But for example, you're seeing like his Facebook posts, right? With the same narrative, people say like, oh, you know what? I read Michael more, and I shared and I liked his post, and now I don't have to do anything more. It's not really Michael's more fault, right?
Well, Michael's calling for people to run for office and things like that in a much more aggressive way than he was 10 years ago.
But still, people
certainly can feel
just like share and like and just like say, I did my job. I shared. I showed you Michael's more posts, and now I don't have to do anything more. It's not his problem.
No, though it's an it's a fascinating thing because it's such a small. I mean, so few of us actually vote to begin with. Forget about the majority. The majority of us don't actually vote in this country. So the idea that you're always kind of playing to a percentage of a percentage of a percentage.
Yes. And at the end of the day, you will find the right people, the right-wing people, pushing their constituents to vote because for God, for America, for patriotism, for the military. And this is the stuff they will go behind. This has been the narrative of the Republican the whole time. For God, for the nation, and for military. And they will go regardless, and they will vote. That's why you have like a 40% of the nation that will always vote Republican no matter whoever on the ticket. Because these are the three things that like Republicans vote, like position themselves to be standing for. But then you find the right wing, the left wing. It just like many people don't think that like human rights and inclusiveness and diversity is enough to go for.
Right.
Which is heartbreaking.
Well, the Paris Accords are classic examples. It's like it doesn't seem that important. It seems Kathy Griffin and her picture seems more important today to people than the
climate
Paris,
change.
than climate change in their nation.
Climate change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's sunny somewhere today. It's warm in New York. It's warmer in New York than it is here, actually. I think today.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna. So is medicine over for you?
Yeah, I think that's.
You had enough of that?
Yes, I can't go back because I can be doing hospital shifts. Well, at my age now.
Did you love medicine when you did it, or
I acted with like rationally with that. It's like it's my job. I have to be good at it, and that's it. So it was more of a mechanical thing.
Were you the funny doctor in the hospital?
Many doctors are very funny. There's other doctors much funnier than I was.
Really?
Of course.
You didn't invite them on the show to do the routines?
No, that's my thing now.
Now you don't want the competition?
No.
So is humor your thing now? Is this next evolution gonna?
It could be humor. It could be voicing your opinion in any way possible. Humor is one of them. But I think in this time and age, there is so many issues now that you can use humor, you can use seriousness, you can use whatever mood out there to bring it up. It doesn't have to be me sitting at a desk doing clips and making jokes. Mm-hmm. It could be so many other ways. There's so many tools in entertainment that you can use in order to bring out. I mean, I have my book, I have the documentary. Hopefully it could be acting, it could be TV shows, it could be scripted, non-scripted, in order to bring on the message.
Do you think that doing it across the globe is what you want, or is America a good base for it, or what do you think?
I think so. I think like you can do based in America, and you can do stuff that can actually touch so many things around the globe.
Mm. And is your partner still back in, your show partner still back in?
Well, he's in the Middle East now. I mean, like now we parted ways because since I left, so he's doing his thing now, and I'm doing my thing now.
So is it hard to not have that sidekick, the person who? I mean, that's to me that's a big deal.
But I have different partners now. I have like I have writing partners doing stuff in them, trying to create something in the United States.
Mm. And does it feel incredibly competitive and difficult?
Absolutely. And this is Hollywood. It's a cutthroat place. There are people who've been like younger than me, much more beautiful, much more attractive, been living here all their lives, and this is still very hard for them. So I have no illusion that like I'm gonna like instantly make it and become the number one in America. Of course, I mean this is gonna be a much more difficult process.
Do you want to be the number one in America? Is that?
I want to be having a good, moderate success at least.
Okay. So is like an MSNBC show an hour a day? Is that kind of
Maybe Comedy Central, maybe Netflix. Who
maybe
knows?
Netflix
Yeah,
somewhere?
yeah,
But you want to have a voice and you want to be
yeah.
able to just express yourself on a regular basis.
Yeah, because I think like we don't like even the people of color or people from my part of the world, of my religion, or my ethnicities are usually people who are born here. So I'm kind of like I just came up from there, and maybe I can give a different perspective of what's happening there.
So are you finding people receptive to that here?
Many do, many are receptive, many are not. It's like any other product. People will receive it well, people will not.
But it feels like the evolution of this at home as it's evolved from YouTube to the networks, the other network to being canceled even, there was it wasn't just a product. Or is that just a weird feeling from outside?
When I was doing back home,
Yeah.
no, that was different. That was a movement. That was a whole movement. It was something new, something that was right. It's like the circumstances, the timing, everything was different. Now, it is you will have to play according to the rules of the game here, and you are a product, and your ideas are a product, and you have to do everything that's possible in order to push those ideas.
So you're figuring all that out. The business
yeah.
of the business is.
Of course.
So this is your way of just living your life as you kind of go into the new place and you study and you figure out how
Yeah.
it actually works.
Exactly.
And don't fight the fact that it works that way. Just figure out how to make it work for you within that.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's fun, exciting.
It's very exciting and it's terrifying because you want to do the best job possible, and at the same time, not everything works in your behalf or on your favor. So you figure things out.
Did you feel like you had it under control and were safe at some point ever
Never.
in this?
Never.
In the show business side?
Oh no, never. Yeah, I always believe that like, oh my God, I don't know what to do next, and you figure it out as you go along. You never figure things out. I mean, even here in America, you can have someone who's like an amazing performer, and then you'll have his show canceled the next day, right? It does. Nothing should be taken for granted ever.
I see them on the way up. I see them on the way down.
Yeah.
They go every direction. Because it's a fascinating thing, because art and the people's experience of things. I mean, I think there is a group of people who have a great appreciation for your work from there that are still interested in what you're doing and still, will watch the documentary and be happy to go see it and see that you're well and all that.
Yeah.
And then there are people who never knew you existed and who never watched, Comedy Central, as big an audience as they had, didn't even know that Jon Stewart was, oh, Jon Stewart, yeah, I heard that on TV somewhere, but
Yeah.
it wasn't real.
Yeah.
And does the level at which you accomplish that, outside of just being able to continue doing the work, really matter to you?
So what do you mean? I'm sorry.
I mean, if you have a place to say your thing, to do your thing, and it's, as you say, if it's modest, if it doesn't end up blowing up into whatever else, is that okay with you for the next 20 years?
I mean, it's a blessing to have your voice heard, and hopefully you make a bit of change. I'm not gonna have a 30 million viewers here, like in like I had in Egypt.
Nobody has it here anymore.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna. I mean, so just like if you try to carve your own space and make it yours, and from that you can spread your ideas, and hopefully people will be more receptive and will listen to you. That's in itself is a blessing.
And living here for a year and a half, is it changed how you see America, or did you kind of have a good sense of it coming in?
I mean, nothing in America surprises me. I mean, after 8 years of Bush, nothing in America surprises me.
So how did you, when you were in Egypt, did you read the papers online and all that stuff? Like,
yeah, I mean,
as though you were living in New York? Or?
we follow stuff. I mean, you'll be very surprised, like many people in the outside of America follow what happens in America. Not just news, but also entertainment. I mean, like, the minute Game of Thrones plays here, it's on all illegal pirated sites everywhere else, and people watch it everywhere. So you'll be surprised how many people are pretty much connected to what happens in America, whether political-wise or entertainment-wise. So you have, and because I believe that what happens somewhere in the world affects everything else, and it's pretty much important to stay connected and know what's happening. It kind of gives you a much better perspective of the world.
Do I know, like in China, it's hard to keep up with some of the things. They actually block a lot of
Yeah, and still there are
media
people.
outlets, huh?
I'm sure that people still find a way.
Yeah, some people.
Mhm.
You got to know the right people to know the right people.
Yeah.
And so, would you ever consider being a leader in this country?
What kind of a leader? What do you mean?
Political? Did you ever?
No, I hope I'm not going to be in politics. I hope so. I mean, never say never, but I hope I don't have to.
Is it not interesting to you, or is it just another? I mean, that could be your thing in 20 years, I guess, for your next generation, your fifth evolution.
Maybe.
Is it intriguing to you? I mean, because you're probably closer to it.
But the thing is, if I become a political leader, I would run on a completely secular agenda, which will be very difficult to fight for in a country like mine.
Like yours being Egypt.
Yeah. Here in America,
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think I can be a political leader? Maybe a non-muscular Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Well, you could be part of, the next whoever the next presidential candidate is. You could certainly be a major influencer within those ranks. And
Yeah, maybe I would run to government of California.
you could become governor of California.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do that.
Yes.
You can't be president, but you can be governor of California.
I have to get the citizenship first, and then I could run. Yes.
Would you be interested in that?
I don't know. Live in Sacramento.
So you like living in a place that's got good restaurants?
I mean, if they move the governor's house to L.A., I might run to government of California. Yes.
And is your family is happy and?
Oh yeah, it's a great city to live in.
It seems like that was always a priority to you, even as everything else was going on.
Well,
making sure they were.
At the end of the day, you'll have to. I mean, I'm someone who sometimes live out of a suitcase. I travel a lot. I go around, right? So it was very important for the people who were like share my life, like my family, be comfortable where they live. So that's very important.
So when people see this documentary, what would you like them to come away with about you?
About me, I know. I want them to like me. I want them to see that freedom of expression should not be taken for granted. And there are a lot of people who have given their lives. And I mean, I was lucky. I wasn't jailed. I wasn't killed. I wasn't tortured. There's some people who really gone through a lot to make it happen.
So do you feel like you've had it easy?
Easier than others. I think I was luckier than others. I mean, at the end of the day, I was famous. I come here trying to make it here in a different environment. Other people lost their lives, lost their freedom, and I feel humbled by what they go through.
And do you miss?
So whatever I have passed through could not be even compared to what these people went through.
And do you miss being as famous where you live as you were?
No, I mean, I miss being successful more than being famous. I miss having something that I work on day to day to create. I miss the feeling of creating something every day, and that something finds its way in the screen. That's what we really miss, and I hope I get that back.
So that really is the difference between you for 3 years and John for 14 years. Is he was ready to take a break from the daily grind.
14 days is a very, very long time.
Yeah.
He deserves this. He deserves to take a break.
But is it so for you? Is it that daily process, or the fact that you know it's going to have an impact out there?
Both. It's both. To get involved, get involved into a cause, to have a cause to fight for on a daily basis, and then to finding its way in the screen, and then to find an impact for that. It's amazing.
And is there something, or is there such a thing as boring times? I mean, I guess there's right now, obviously American media is in hysteria over Trump and everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But so it's an interesting time here. Certainly the time that you were rising in Egypt was a very, very interesting time.
Yes.
And never anything less than that. Is doing what you do and seeing the world as you do harder when it's quieter?
I don't think we're gonna see the world very quiet anytime soon.
So you're saying.
It's gonna be still become very interesting.
So do you wish for boring times or
I wish for downtime from time to time.
for the world?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can just
Yes. Go
do
fishing.
something else. You can go fishing.
Yes.
Do you fish?
No.
Do you have hobbies?
Kite surfing. I would like to go to kite surf, but the problem is that you don't find any warm beaches here in LA. So maybe in Mexico. Maybe I'll find something in Mexico.
So you did that at home, but
Oh yeah, that was my big thing back home.
yeah. Here it's all about putting on the
Yeah, like a wetsuit and going on
going
to
on.
surf.
And did you surf? Did you do all
No, kite surfing.
Kite surfing only.
Yeah,
that? Okay.
I let the wind take over.
And are you a computer guy, or are you on your phone all the time? And
I'm on the phone to check Facebook just to being connected, but like I'm not a gamer. I see a lot of gaming consoles here. I'm not a gamer now. I'm more of a physical guy. I go to the gym. I play soccer, play squash. That's what I do.
and has that all been good here in America?
Oh yeah.
In LA, we have a good soccer league.
I wanna start doing Pilates. That's my next project.
So you're just picking the right place for Pilates, and
Yeah, and that's somewhere that's not crazy expensive.
I'm not sure we have that in LA.
Yeah, I know.
It's part of the joy of living in the city.
But when you cross your 40s, you need to work on your core because I'm getting injured too many times.